Imagine taking your resume, your dearest friendships, your proudest memories, and just throwing them straight into an incinerator.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's intense.
Right. And not as some act of despair, but as literally the only logical way to achieve ultimate psychological freedom.
Right.
Welcome, by the way, to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to analyze this really brief but incredibly dense philosophical text. It's called How to Transcend the Mundane.
It was written by Feng.
Yeah, exactly, on May 12th, 2013. And it's basically a literal blueprint for stepping completely outside the framework of human existence. Because, we are constantly bombarded by the secular world, right? The daily grind, the hustle, the social obligations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's exhausting.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the core thesis of Feng's text here is that to transcend all that mundane stuff is to become what he calls a celestial being.
Yeah, and I think it's important to set the tone here because this text isn't just about, stress relief or mindfulness.
Right, it's not a self-help book.
Exactly. It's about a fundamental transformation of your identity, going from human to celestial. And for everyone listening right now, I really encourage you to use this deep dive as a sort of mental sandbox, just to question your own attachments to your daily life.
I love that. A mental sandbox.
Yeah.
So before we can actually transcend, we obviously have to map out the territory we're trying to escape.
Right. You have to know what you're leaving behind.
And the text draws this very specific and honestly kind of surprising line between what it calls the mundane and what it calls the ordinary.
Yeah, the categorization is wild.
It really is. So
Yeah.
let's look at the mundane first. Feng lists specific things like fame, profit, power, which, sure.
Which makes sense.
Right. But then it includes success, failure, cunning, cliches, pleasantries, groveling, flattery, and servility.
Wow. Yeah. It's basically a checklist of toxic social behaviors.
Exactly. And I get that. Yes, banish cunning and groveling. But then we get to the ordinary category. And this includes human emotions, human connections, human affairs, just the whole secular world.
Yeah, that's where he really loses people.
Well, yeah, it's confusing. Discarding cunning makes total sense. It's like cleaning out a house and throwing away the actual trash, right?
Right.
But telling me I have to throw away basic human connection, that feels like you're asking me to, I don't know, rip up the floorboards and bulldoze the foundation of the house. Why group our basic emotional reality into this secular trap?
What's fascinating here is how the text views both of these categories as anchors. They're both just different types of weights pulling you down.
Okay.
So the mundane represents the ego,
Wow.
the societal hierarchy. It's this heavy, rusty iron anchor.
Gotcha.
But the ordinary, that represents our earthly attachments, the people we love, our communities. So maybe it's a lighter, more comforting anchor, but
But it's still tying you to the dock.
exactly.
Yeah.
Its function is the same. To become celestial, you have to cut both anchors. And think about how profoundly difficult that is for us to even imagine, let alone do.
Yeah, it's a staggering psychological demand.
So moving on from just the definitions, how does the text actually instruct us to cut that first anchor, the mundane one?
Right, let's get into the practical actions.
Yeah, because it basically requires you to completely stop certain behaviors. Like the heart must not yearn for money, power, fame, or profit.
And your mouth must not speak of them either.
Right. You can't interact with deceit or pretense, and you just can't care about success or failure anymore. But there's this one specific phrase that really caught my eye.
Oh, which one?
It says, "You must not flaunt or display your glorious history, and your actions must not fall into cliches."
Ah, yes. The cliches. That is so targeted.
It really is. To bring this down to our level, it's basically like deleting your LinkedIn profile, throwing your resume in the trash, and just refusing to tell anyone what you majored in. Yes. You are completely refusing to participate in the status game of society.
Which is crazy to think about. Imagine going to a dinner party and someone asks, "So what do you do?" Which is the ultimate cliche.
It is the default script.
Right. And you just have to, stare at them. Because you can't rely on your glorious history to prove your worth.
Think about the psychological freedom in that, though. By totally abandoning the concepts of success and failure in your past, you're not defined by society's metrics anymore.
Yeah, but it would be terrifying at first.
Oh, absolutely terrifying. To interact with people without those pleasantries or social lubricants, you'd be stripped totally bare.
Okay, so you starve the ego of its oxygen. I get it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because moving past just rejecting toxic societal games, the text demands this radical leap.
Right. Leaving the human experience behind entirely.
Yes. Trading the human for the celestial. It dictates that you must speak only of celestial emotions, act only for celestial affairs, and just escape human connections entirely.
And you have to form celestial connections instead.
Right. Which forces me to push back on behalf of everyone listening because, like, if we escape human connection and human affairs, what is actually left?
It's hard to visualize.
It really is. What does a celestial connection even look like in the logic of this text if there's no human emotion? Are we just like emotionless androids nodding at each other in a void?
This raises an important question about the uncompromising nature of the text, because it doesn't advocate for balancing human and celestial life. It demands total replacement.
Right. There's no middle ground.
None. Celestial, in this context, implies a state that is completely unburdened by secular entanglement. It's pure, detached, and elevated.
Okay, but how do you connect with someone without, entanglement?
Well, think of it like going to an art museum. You stand in front of this profoundly beautiful painting, right?
Okay.
You experience a deep, transcendent appreciation for it. But you don't feel the need to buy it. You don't try to take it home.
Oh, I see.
You're not laying awake worrying about someone stealing it or wondering if the painting appreciates you back.
Right, right.
You interact with its beauty purely, and then you just walk out the door without a tether.
Yeah.
That's a celestial connection.
Wow. Okay, that totally reframes it. It's like human interaction is this tangled ball of yarn, right? Everyone's nodding together.
Yes.
But a celestial connection is just two parallel beams of light. They perfectly coexist in the same space, but they never, ever not together.
That's a great way to put it. No friction.
But how do you actually do that? Because you don't just wake up one Tuesday and decide to be a parallel beam of light.
No, definitely not.
So to facilitate this massive shift, Shuifeng concludes with three really powerful metaphors. Locations, almost.
Yeah, these are crucial for the practical application.
Okay, so the first is pulling weeds from the soul garden. The second is living in the second home. And the third is climbing out of the well. So what does this all mean?
Let's start with the weeds, because I find this so fascinating. The nuance of the word weeds is so specific.
Right, because why not just say cleaning the garden?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you don't plant weeds on purpose.
True.
You don't buy weed seeds and water them.
Sure.
They just grow automatically
Okay.
if you leave the soil untended. And the text is implying that our mundane desires, the fame, the pleasantries, all those secular affairs, they just naturally sprout in the soul garden if we aren't paying attention.
Oh, wow. So if you're not actively watching your thoughts, you're just going to automatically start caring about your LinkedIn profile again.
Basically, yeah. Transcendence requires this active, continuous gardening. You have to constantly be pulling those thoughts out by the root.
That sounds exhausting, honestly.
It is. Which brings us to the second home metaphor.
Right. And Shuifeng doesn't give us, like, GPS coordinates for this place. Is it a monastery?
No, it's not a physical place. It's a sustained condition. The text says you have to reside there for a long time.
Ah, okay, so it's not just a weekend meditation retreat.
Exactly. You can't just visit the celestial mindset on Sunday and then jump back into the rat race on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You have to inhabit that state permanently.
Until it literally becomes your home.
Yes. And that finally brings us to the ultimate metaphor, climbing out of the well.
Right. And when I read this, I immediately thought of that old fable. You know, the frog at the bottom of the well?
Oh, yeah. The frog who thinks the tiny circle of light at the top is the entire sky.
Yes. It's perfectly content because it literally can't imagine anything bigger. And escaping the mundane is like climbing those slippery walls, pulling yourself over the edge, and suddenly seeing the true scope of the entire universe.
It's a terrifying but beautiful image. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, climbing out of that well frees you from the four ultimate burdens the text lists. Material possessions, emotions, people, and the secular world.
So you leave all of that at the bottom of the well.
Exactly.
Wow. I mean, we've covered an incredibly intense journey today. Just summarizing it, we went from defining the toxic traps of the mundane and the ordinary to cutting the behavioral anchors of our ego to adopting this pure, parallel light celestial mindset.
And finally, making the brutal climb out of the well.
Yeah.
And to everyone listening, I know that completely abandoning human emotion and worldly connection probably sounds, well, extreme.
A little bit, yeah.
But this text serves as such a powerful mirror. It forces you to audit your own life. Just ask yourself, how many of my daily actions are actually just cliches, pleasantries, and groveling?
Yeah.
How much of my energy is spent polishing my glorious history just so other people think I'm important?
It's a tough question to face. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to ponder. And it builds right on that metaphor of the well we just talked about.
Okay.
If transcending the mundane is like climbing out of the bottom of that well, imagine you actually do it. You reach the top, you become that celestial being, completely unburdened by human emotions and connections.
Right.
What do you do when you look back down at everyone else who is still struggling at the bottom? I mean, can you still care about them if you've truly left human emotions behind? Definitely something to chew on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and take care of yourselves out there.